Hello, hello. Welcome to the CoCreativeSex Summit Podcast series. My awesome guest today is someone that I first saw going on stand-up and that was testing out her materials of the dating life in Vancouver, looking for some, lovely lady. And all the funny and awkward situations that she came up with, and she just made us really laugh. And so I'm here today to share this fun personality with you and explore a little bit what it's like to be in Cara's world. So Cara is this creative, an actor, writer, voice teacher, at times stand-up, but she's just one of these people ready to try anything, really. And so get ready for the adventure with us. Hi, Cara.
Hi.
Is there anything you'd like to say to add to who you are that I missed?
No, I don't think you missed anything. Well, I don't know. I think it's funny that when I saw the post that I was tagged in of this podcast, that I thought you were talking about somebody else. I was like, oh, this person's going to be really great that you're interviewing. And then I saw my face and went, oh, yeah, that time that I did stand up a year ago. Yeah. I mean, I enjoy it, but there are many skills to learn. There are many skills to learn on the stand-up stage, mostly painfully.
Yes. Most stand-up people say that it's a brutal, brutal experience getting in there, testing your material, and you kind of need to try it out and get a context where you can try it out, because it's you never know if a joke's going to land. So you were really sharing with us like all the trials of what it would like to be dating. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about some of the adventures that you've been on the dating scene.
Okay, so well, I've been in Vancouver for 2 years, and last year I didn't even decide I was going to do this, but I ended up going on 20 first dates, and 36 dates overall, I believe. I counted them for the purposes of stand-up comedy. And when someone asked me, so how many dates is that overall? I was like, okay, I need to go back through my list and go, all right, this was, whatever. And it really was my first kind of foray into dating women, or dating in general, actually, like just dating a lot of people. And there are a lot of weird and wonderful things that happened, and a lot of discovery of myself along the way. That's actually why I went out and went on so many dates, was like, okay, I've got to discover who I am and what I want.
Yeah, so let's go back a little bit moment. So like actually said it was the first time that you're out to go on the dating scene and actually date women. So it hasn't been that long that you discovered that you were actually more interested in women than men.
Yes.
So can you tell us a little bit of how that became clear to you?
Sure. In like 2015, mid-2015, and I had just done this personal development program called the Landmark Forum, and I was completely free to be myself, and I found myself having a crush on someone who was a woman, and I was like, well, this is strange. What is happening? I hadn't allowed myself to engage with it at all. I grew up quite sheltered, and in a small country town, and I was a practicing Christian for a little while as well. And so I just didn't.
This was in Australia, right?
This was in Australia, yeah. And so I just didn't even engage with it. And it was nothing to do with like my family or my community or anything. I just hadn't had role models that looked like me. Mm-hmm. So I didn't even think about it. Now, as I look back on my life, I can see, okay, you were in love with this person and that person and this person. And, there were many moments that I could have chosen to explore my sexuality, and I didn't choose it until this point. So that's really what happened. And I remember the moment that I invented just the possibility of being bisexual. It wasn't like, okay, I'm going to be a lesbian now, I'm going to date women. I was like, just a little, like, tiny little baby feet. What about the possibility of being bisexual? And the next moment I was making out with my now ex. Not the next moment, the next day I was making out with my now ex. And yeah, I haven't gone back to men yet. So yeah, I don't know, it was fairly simple and free and easy once I allowed myself to step foot in that unfamiliar world.
So what were the kind of like, so what were some of the adventures, some of the funny things and sort of awkward things that you went through in that process? And you shared some of these things when you're on stage. I'd love you to like share some of the funny stuff.
The process of coming out or the process of dating?
I think you did a lot of like about dating, but you can do both, whatever comes up that you'd like to share with us.
Okay. I don't even know. Like, let's see. Well, this year, I was on a date with someone, and they said to me, they were running late, and they had come from a meeting, and I was like, okay, so how was your meeting? So they turn up and I'm like, how was your meeting? And and I said, and they said, oh, it wasn't a meeting, it was a counseling session. I was like, oh, okay, great. How was your counseling session? Yeah, it was great. I was like, okay, can I ask more? Sure. Okay, well, what are you seeing the counselor about? Like, that must be on your brain right now because you've just come from the counselor. About my wife who left me 3 months ago. So then I'm in this situation where I'm talking to this human about what they're dealing with in their life, and that perhaps A, this isn't the person for me because they're emotionally unavailable, and B, I can't remember what B was. It's gone out of my brain. Emotionally unavailable, and B, maybe I should ask more questions before I go on dates with people from the internet so that I know, oh, this person's just, they're dealing with a breakup right now. Okay, maybe not. Maybe not one to like date, right?
Right.
So lots of situations like that where meeting people off dating apps, you have no idea what you're walking into.
Yeah.
Until you start asking questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so like I remember you saying that like there was, there's different phases where like we just discover something about ourselves, but there's this kind of loneliness as well. I remember it was like it took a lot of courage to like get out there and give yourself permission to go out there. How was that adventure?
Initially really like the first date, terrifying, absolutely terrifying. I walked in and we actually happened to meet at the door of the coffee shop, and I was so thankful because I didn't want to be walking in to the coffee shop looking for this person who I haven't met. Who are they going to look like? Their picture? Are they not? And yeah, but then after the initial, like, there's always that initial awkwardness of, well, this is the awkward part. Like, how do I say hi to you? Or do we hug? Do we, shake hands? What do we do here? But I remember that first date, she was going on a date with someone the next 2 days later. So I was like, fine, well, I can find a date quicker than that.
Mm-hmm.
So the next day I was on a date with somebody else. And so it became this almost competition between us for like who could date the most people over a course of when we also saw each other. So yeah, that was fun.
And did eventually did that person become like a sort of important person in your life?
I would have liked that person to become an important person in my life. Initially we thought there was no chemistry. We did discover there was in fact a lot of chemistry. And we they ended up again not being available. Like, there are a lot of people who think that they're ready to date and then are not, and so
why do you think they're dating if they're not available?
Well, I think we all want validation, right? I mean, I certainly do. I want validation and adoration of myself and who I am, and to be able to give that to somebody else, like really gift that to people. So yeah, I think there's that, and there's a general curiosity about who is out there. Yeah, I think it's very human.
So what was it like when you started getting into that more intimate moment with that first person?
Oh, it was surprising.
Pardon me?
It was surprising.
Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, I don't know, always, I don't know if you found this, but always I find that a connection with someone surprises me. I don't necessarily expect it. And to have a connection with someone and have that evolve into something that is maybe intimate it's always, oh, this is reciprocated. Oh, okay. That's interesting. Great.
It's almost like a surprise.
Yeah. A surprise, and probably probably a lack of self-confidence on my part that they would even be interested. So then when they are, it's, oh, okay, maybe I'm cooler than I think. Or there comes that validation right there and the adoration.
I'm dating Annie Lennox. Oh my God.
Yep. Oh.
I know, right? Yeah, like what do you think makes it difficult to have like self-esteem? Like where does that come from for you?
Oh, this is like, you just hit it like a, I don't know, a heart point. I was like emotional for a moment. Yeah. I think what makes it difficult is for me, it's like people questioning who I am or what I say or what I want to do with my life, and it being it's almost like having to deal with something about my sexuality, or them having to deal with something about my career, is really hard, because it's already hard enough to be a queer person in this world. The percentage of us is really small, and the education about how to come out and interact with other queer people just isn't there. There aren't enough movies, there aren't enough, we're getting there, we are really getting there slowly, but we haven't learned anything in school about it. We didn't learn anything in sex ed about sex between two people of the same sex. So yeah, I think that what's difficult is when people question and then ask the question back again, and it's like, I've already spent 1.5 years doing this, guys. No, like, you come to the table. So getting to a point where I am confident enough to be able to say, this is who I am, like, take it or leave it.
So is it kind of like, because I know that like even being an actor, it takes courage, to get out there and decide like, hey, I'm going to be an actor in my life. I'm going to find the means to like, be financially stable. And sometimes when we come from a family that has more professional ways of things, or more like trades way of seeing things, they're like, anything that's artistic just seems like not a practical decision. And the people that are in it, they're like, this is me.
Yeah. And still, it's not a practical decision. Nobody makes a decision to be any kind of artist out of practicality.
Yeah. And so there's that piece that you're like fighting for, maybe with your family as well.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't think anyone's parents wake up and say, I would really love it if my child was an actor. I really want them to struggle through getting auditions and getting jobs, and like continue to work a whole lot of other things their whole life until maybe one day they have a break. I don't think any parent wakes up with that, that thought, and that's okay, you know.
And then you have the added little piece too of like having a sexual orientation that's maybe not what your parents thought that you would have.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
So how was that when you were like had to share that with them?
Oh, it was actually quite easy.
Yeah.
It was quite easy for the most part. Haven't told my mum I'm going to share this on the internet. But so I called my mum and I said, hey, Mum, do you want to know what I've been hiding for the last month? And she said, oh yeah, okay, great, because she's my mum. She always knows when I'm hiding something. And and she said, and I was like, so I'm dating a woman. It's like, oh, okay. Well, as long as you're happy. I mean, actually, I've been reading about this woman, Magda Szubanski. Magda Szubanski is an Australian comedian, actually, who is a lesbian. And she's like, I've been reading about her and how her struggle to come out and like to talk to her parents about it. And you haven't been struggling with this, have you? Like, you haven't been hiding this or anything. And I was like for years. And I like, no, I had no idea. Like, there was no suffering in that part. So it was actually,
yeah, you weren't aware of it.
I wasn't aware of it. Yeah. Yeah. So that was just wonderful to have that be so easy. And
how about your dad?
My dad barely says anything. In most situations, he's not a particularly vocal guy. Very Australian dad. I can't even remember what he said. I do remember when I cut my hair, which was at the end, like maybe a year after I'd come out. And, you know, for some lesbians, it's a real thing about changing your style. And it doesn't have to be, but for me, I love my short hair. Remember, I cut my hair off and I said, Dad, did you notice my hair? He's like, yeah, why did you do that? He loves long hair, you know, it's okay. But I don't remember. What did you say?
Did you tell him why?
Did I tell him?
Why you cut your hair?
Oh, I mean, there was a year and a half later after that. No, I didn't. Maybe I should have. I need to express myself, Dad. But no. And then my friends had funny reactions, actually. Yeah. A couple of my friends where I told them and they said, but you like men. And I said, yeah, I know. I mean, I thought so. You know, so that was kind of funny too. And then they would just get to the point where they were like, okay, it just makes sense. You know, so for the most part, that was the process.
So how did that feel when you sort of really declare that to the world, that this is the new reality for yourself? Like, what did it do for your sense of being in your body and operating in the world? Did anything change?
Yeah, like I definitely had more freedom, for sure. I don't like lying or hiding anything. I tend to overshare. So within that, I think it was maybe a 6-week period where I wasn't telling anyone because I was just initially exploring it myself. I really did feel like I was hiding a part of myself. So being able to be free and say that to people was, just, I don't know, just really, really freeing, and have most of their reactions be, it's like, okay, it was great. And I was really blessed with a really loving partner as well. So I had the space to like talk to her about whatever came up when it came up. So yeah.
Cool. So you kind of like gave me little hints at the beginning. You're like, how weird are we going to go today? So give us a little bit of weirdness. What have you experienced in the weird department?
Okay. So, in the weird department, in terms of coming out?
Whatever, okay. Sexuality, dating, maybe your cat life.
My cat. Yeah. So some of the people at one of my workplaces love to refer to this house. I live in a house with 4 other women. So it's a big townhouse, 5 bedrooms, 5 bathrooms. They can't fathom how 5 women can live together and not hate each other. And they love to call it a cat house, which I hate because it's just this judgment on women and how women together are catty, but it's just not the case. We're all great communicators and we have 5 bathrooms.
You don't have to put over the bathrooms.
Yeah. Bathrooms is very important to deal with. Anybody else's like,
how about 5 kitchens? No.
That would be, we do have 2 kitchens. Oh. Actually, no, it's mainly 1, but it's a very, very big you know,
Yeah.
very, very big, beautiful kitchen. So yeah.
And in terms of like going out and discovering what's out there in the world, on the dating scene, what kind of situations are out there?
So let's see. I think that the biggest thing for me is like educating myself on the range of queer people, because I initially thought that when I was 11, I was like, oh, okay, lesbians are like dykes on bikes. Like I can't be one because that's what is there, right? So going out and seeing that there are all of these different women who look all different ways, and being able to then try on different expressions of myself and where I fit. Where do I fit stylistically? Oh, maybe I want to dress up being really feminine today. Maybe I want to dress up being really masculine today. Like actually being queer gives me that, this is not answering your question, but I'm saying it anyway, gives me that almost license to be able to express myself in any way. Because once I can see, okay, there's lots of different types, then I could be any one of those different types on a different day, depending on what I actually want to wear. Yeah, does that make sense?
Yeah, it's not one size fits all. Like there's a diversity expressions, and you're actually gives you space to explore all these possibilities, almost like that actor that you are trying on different roles in different ways and different costumes. And
absolutely, the actor probably helps. Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So is there anything you'd like to share with us about your journey, like maybe some of the harder parts of the journey?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Well, I fall in love very, very quickly. And so what's hard for me is when I express that, I mean, it's not reciprocated, and then I come across as desperate and needy, and I am being desperate and needy. So the process of discovering that, oh, there's this desperate, needy person inside of me that needs to be validated all the time. What's that? And to continually look at that is really, really hard and heartbreaking. Like it's heartbreaking every time.
Yeah. And like, what
Yeah.
did you discover about that needy person? Like what?
What I've discovered so far is that, well, it's kind of a flip for me. I'll be dating someone and it'll be going really great. And then at some point I will get attached, and I'll get attached to the idea of being with this person, what it might look like in the future, like thoughts and dreams. And essentially, I was just talking to my housemate about this. It's princess culture. It's like, oh, looking for the one and what that might look like and all of that. And when I get attached, it's like all fun goes out the window. So we're no longer having fun. We're no longer, like, it's just, there's too much talking. And they start to withdraw themselves from me. So for me, like finding that point where, why do I get attached and when do I get attached? And to be quite honest, I still haven't figured it out. So, it's an ongoing process.
Yeah.
But I find that just sucks all the fun and love and like possibility out of the.
But I know that you've done a lot of personal development. So in those courses and the discovery that you've gone into, did you ever get to the bottom of where that needy person emerged in you? Like where that started?
No, I haven't yet. I've seen multiple different points in my life where it could have been. Like there's maybe a moment when I'm 17 and I really wanted to be at the front of the class dancing, and I didn't get chosen to be at the front of the class dancing. And I can't actually remember the decision that I made, but I made excuse me, some decision that
that you're not good enough to go and dance in front of the class?
Yeah, like I'm not good enough, or I'm gonna be. It was almost like I was told that I was being arrogant, and so I think it comes from that. Maybe there's something under that. It's like, oh well, I'll show you, and then that person nobody wants to be around.
Cool.
So.
And there was nothing like earlier on and sort of like, where, in terms of like when I think needy, I also think like needing that sense of feeling love. Like, is there any place in your life where, there was lacking that sense of being like loved fully, or that you saw models of people where they weren't being loved and something, like I was thinking sometimes we see, let's say, one parent and we really identify with that parent, the other person doesn't get love back by that other parent.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or that the parents are, there's so many things that come in from our family systems. There's nothing that you saw in that dynamic?
Nothing. Like, I've seen lots of things, but there's nothing that's like really got to the bottom of it. And I think this is the thing with personal development, is you can see one thing and then another thing and then another thing, but there's something else that's got my foot nailed to the floor about it that I haven't yet discovered. I don't. Yeah. Right. I wish I did.
And what would that allow you to become in your life if you did like sort of open up to?
Yeah. Well, I think there'd be a freedom to actually just not need anything from anyone. To be able to walk into any room and not need anything from anyone. And particularly with dating, particularly in that middle stage.
Yeah.
To continually just not need something from them. To let them be who they are.
Right. Like
I'm
hearing like a sense of like freedom doesn't necessarily mean that there's not this exchange of love between two people, but there's a sense of like, I'm not going to fill myself up with you. It's like I'm coming in and
full.
Yeah. Which is always a journey to figure out how to fill ourselves up fully on our own, right?
Absolutely. Yep.
That's awesome. So what's the next steps for you? Like, what if you were to create something for yourself, what would that be? Just like the perfect kind of relationship that would really fulfill you.
It's funny. I'm at this point right now where it's almost like I almost don't want it to fulfill me. I want my relationship to be, I don't know, like I want to be so satisfied with my life that I am then adding to that person's life, like we just talked about. Rather than a relationship coming to me to fulfill me, I want to be able to give all of the things that I have to give away. So I want to be like filled up in my career and I don't know, spiritually and financially, and so then I'm meeting that person. I'm not coming to them with any worries. So that has a real sense of calm and ease and play. Lots of play. Yeah.
And like in terms of like, how our sexuality pushes us to grow, do you have any comments on that?
Oh, yeah. Well, it really does. It really does. There's been a lot of my own forced growth by going on this journey. In fact, I'm writing a TV series about it, which is very exciting. And
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
I can talk a little bit about it. It's top secret.
We won't tell anyone on the internet.
Yeah, we won't tell. Great, thanks. So it's a series that really follows it starts with following what I did, which is go on 20 dates. It's not about going on 20 dates, but it's a woman who's new to dating women out dating, but it's not a coming out story. It's a story of what happens after the coming out. Right. What happens when, okay, you've come out, you've had your first relationship, and then now what?
Right.
Because that's probably one of the hardest parts. Is now, how do I fit into this world that I know nothing about?
Exactly.
Queer world that I know nothing about. And then go to these events and look at the people that are there and this is a really, that from talk, because I talk to all my dates about this, right? Like, I'm writing this TV series and like, oh, this is research. I'm like, no, I would never do that to you. Although I'm not going to lie, some of them were research. What was I talking about?
The TV series.
Going on the dates, the TV series.
Oh, so development, how sex pushes us to like grow.
Totally. So it's this really common experience for queer people that you walk into a room and go, oh, I do not fit here. Like, how am I ever going to fit here? I do not fit here. And it's often as an adult, and really this sense of being out of place. Like, I suddenly felt like I was 13 again, you know, and when I was 13, someone started an I Hate Cara club. So it was like I was 13, I was at the I Hate Cara club, nobody wanted me, and I didn't know how to fit in. You know, so being able to take that through all this personal development, take that and put that aside and actually engage with people in the room, it's really valuable. But yeah, I would say it's forced me to, the past 2 years has forced me to become an entirely different person because of the risks that I've taken in the dating world. Yeah.
So there's risks, and what does that do to you though? Like, what does it give you when you have to jump into that risk?
Gives me that's a good question. I think it's very spontaneous. So being able to be continuously spontaneous. And B, something about like being able to be myself, I think.
Like that piece around freedom and space and permission to be oneself.
Yeah, totally. And going on dates with lots of different people, going like, how free am I to be myself with this person? Oh, that's interesting. How free am I to be myself with the person who, you know, who's really feminine? How free am I to be myself with the person who's more butch? Like the different scale of women. Like who am I most free to be myself around? And that's interesting. And discovering.
What did you discover around that?
Well, kind of like all women, that's what I discovered. I don't necessarily have a type, so that's good. And except if I look back at all the people that I was really obsessed with, they're all tall and brunette. Every single one of them. With differing lengths of hair. Which is interesting because I used to be brunette, right? So like maybe I'm looking for myself. Who knows?
Interesting idea.
Really, do you think we are all looking for ourselves, actually?
Until we find it, and then we're like, okay, now I can choose someone else now.
Yeah, maybe I could try somebody else. Yeah. Sure.
Well, when you have gone on these dates, like what has been the most surprising date?
Oh. So she was late, and it was we tried to go to karaoke, but karaoke wasn't open. So we ended up on some bar on Robson Street that was like really dirty and like just very old and full of people who drink a lot. And so that firstly was hilarious. I've never found myself in a pub like this. And she had just been dealing with something with her family on the phone. And so she came in and she was upset. Like and I'm a pretty good listener. So I just ask questions and she starts crying over sounds like the one about the one woman with the wife, but she didn't cry. And she was, and I was just talking to her about how she could talk to her sister. Like I was just trying to make a difference to her. I didn't. Anyway, I ended up reading this poem that I'd written to her, which was about coming out. And And at the end of the poem, she like kisses me. She was that excited about the poem. It moved her to kiss me, so I guess that's good.
It's seduction technique.
Yeah, I know, right? I mean, I have read it a couple of times to a couple of people, so
Different results.
I wrote this one poem this one time. Let's use it. Yeah, so anyway, then it turned out to be a one night stand. And that was also surprising in itself. Yeah, that's all I want to say about it. I think I'll say something. There's so more to share, but I'll say something inappropriate. Let's just say that much.
What was the most thrilling date that you went on?
Oh, that's a good question. Thrill? I don't know that there have been any thrilling ones. I think that one was actually the most thrilling. In terms of like, I was on the edge of my seat the whole time. Like, what is going to happen next? What is happening next? So, okay, we're going here now. Okay, we're doing this now. Yeah, that was the most thrilling. Yep, for sure. Mm-hmm. The weirdest, though, I have a weird one for you. I just remembered this. You know what I should have is the list of all of them right next to me. And
well, of course, especially if you're like writing this, like, you know,
I know.
Series. I mean, all these different characters, right?
I know, they are. They're all characters. It's funny when people read it, they're like, do you know all of these people personally? Yes. Like I can really picture this person. I'm like, well, that's great feedback. I'm so happy. The weirdest was, this girl, she looked nothing like her photo. And I was at a swing dance event at Robson Square, and she came to meet me, and I was like, is that her? Please tell me that's not her. Please tell me. Yep, it is. Okay, right. So that photo was probably 10 years ago. This is the only time I've experienced this, by the way. And yeah, so we did a bit of swing dancing. She'd never danced before, so I was impressed. Then we went to a comedy show. It was meant to be really good, and honestly, I hated it. It wasn't stand-up. It was another comedy show. I won't give details. And so that was awkward, because when you're on a first date with someone and you're watching something, then you can't talk, right? You're just sitting there, awkwardly watching the show. And then I couldn't get out of there fast enough. I could not get out of there fast enough. I didn't give her my number. I didn't, like, she messaged me the next day on the app, and it was like, no.
But what was it like that was surprising? It was just that she was like 10 years older than she actually looked? Like, was that the thing?
Yeah.
Like, it was something about her vibe, or?
I mean, all of the above. Like, the vibe of her photo and the vibe of who she was did not match.
Okay.
At all. And I guess this is the risk when you go on a date with someone from the internet, is that you don't know until you get there, right? You really don't know. Yeah, like the conversation also seemed to be pretty good via text, and then when I got there, no, the conversation was not good at all. It was very awkward. Do you have
any situations where you really were scared or worried?
Oh yes, with that woman that I was talking about before, that was the one night stand. Yeah.
Is that when it got weird? Kind of like you're like, maybe I shouldn't explain that part.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I wasn't scared and worried for my life. I was scared and worried for hers.
Yeah.
In terms of the just how kind of emotional she was. I was just worried about the place that she was in her life, and her almost attaching herself to me as an emotional crutch. Yeah. Because she needed someone.
Right.
Yeah, so I didn't handle that very well.
Yeah. It's so interesting, the whole dynamic between neediness and finding someone, and then, you know, that whole dynamic that everyone has to deal with to some degree.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. In fact, maybe that was when I saw myself.
You're like, oh, that's what it looks like.
Okay, stop that, Cara.
Ah,
Oh dear.
well, is there anything you'd like to share with us before we come to an end on our podcast today?
Not really share. I just think that, I don't know, I think it's been so fun. Like, even with all of the ups and downs, it's been so fun meeting lots of different people. And I would say to people, if you're thinking of doing that, just go and do it. Take a risk, go and do it, because you will discover yourself in the process.
Right.
That's the whole point.
And so, like, the whole dating scene in Vancouver was actually really exciting in the end. There's a lot of interesting people out there.
I think so. People are like, oh, it's hard to date in Vancouver. You can't find people. They're just not looking hard enough. Really.
There's lots of single people saying the same thing, right? Like, how come we don't meet each other?
Exactly. You just got to get on the right app, you know?
Yeah. So what is the right app?
That's a good, that Tinder is excellent. Tinder is great because everyone is on there. It's also the problem. Everyone is on there. You're going to go through couples. You're going to go through different relationship models, like polyamorous, monogamous, open relationships, like all of the different things. Couples looking for threesomes. There will be people who are just, quote unquote, seeing what is out there. They're always a swipe left for me, because what is seeing what is out there? What is that? Very not committed, very uncommitted.
The jungle.
Yeah, I'm just an octopus weaving through the so Tinder is good because everyone's on there, so have Tinder. Hinge is good because it's when I decided that really I should be dating younger women. I was dating women like 7 to 10 years older than me, and that really wasn't working out because they got a lot of stuff from the past. They got a lot of life stuff that they're dealing with. It's like, oh, I should be dating young, ambitious women. So I downloaded Hinge. Worked for a moment. Hinge is good because all the young people are. Her, and a lot of people are on Her as well. That's HER, Her.
So you said like Hinge, it was working for a while to date younger women, then you kind of came to a point where you're like, that's not working anymore?
It was working for a while, or I thought it was working because I did go on dates with younger women, but it didn't work out, so I ended up deleting that one.
Okay.
And Bumble,
like any sustaining relationship kind of thing that would come from it?
No, I mean, not for me at that point, but also it's fun. The way it's set up is fun.
Yeah.
You don't have to swipe. You like someone's photo and then you comment on someone's photo. So you get a little bit more connected initially, which I like. Yeah, it's kind of cute.
Yeah. And you said Her?
Her. Lots of people are on Her as well. Similar to Tinder, lots of different types of people, but.
Is it designed for women,
Designed for women. Designed by women for women. I think that might even be their mission statement. But it's still, I mean, everyone gets on everything, right? So it's still, you still have to sift through. Less sifting than Tinder and less sifting than Bumble. Bumble is, actually I've met some good people off Bumble, so Bumble's okay too. Yeah. I don't know anything else. If there's any other dating apps, like somebody tell me.
Yeah, exactly right. So what's your biggest piece of advice? We'll leave with this. What's your biggest piece of advice for someone that's going out and looking for their soulmate or looking for their partner as a woman, looking for a woman?
Oh, come find me. No. My biggest piece of advice, just go for it. Just go for it. Like, I don't want to swear, but like cut the BS and just go for it. Go be yourself. Yeah. That's how you're going to connect with someone.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool, Cara. That was really fun talking to you. Thank you for like sharing the adventures of dating and becoming yourself and like trying to like figure out that whole piece around neediness and trying to figure out like, okay, how do I do this so that I can not be stuck in this eternal cycle?
Yes.
The freeing process.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely.
Awesome. Well, we just thank everyone for being here today with us. And my next interview actually is this evening with Nika Carly. She's a woman that has all these really crazy, wild things to teach us about pussy magic and to teach us about rewilding and just the whole piece around really becoming a sexually expressed and integrated human being and like really in your fullest expression. So she's actually one of Layla Martin's like trainees, but it's like really well loved by Layla. So she's kind of like her what's the expression when we say the right hand man or the right hand woman? So yeah, so I'm going to be interviewing her tonight at 7. So if you're interested in these topics, I invite you to come on Facebook Live again, and we'll dive in this together. You can even send me questions if you have any specific questions for her.
Yay, that sounds like one not to miss.
Exactly. Well, big hugs to you, Cara. It was really awesome hanging out with you, and goodbye everyone for now.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Yay.